In this tutorial, what I'm going to do is explain quickly how to create a player input. This is going to be something where you press the button and it will activate something. This is not going to work if you wanted to use it for Sprint. There's a different way to do that. But like for instance, if you wanted to click and hold down the button, there's a different way for us to handle that. But this will work if you wanted to, let's say, use a activation type thing where you're activating a special ability. This will be a quick run through. So to get started, you have to have two classes in particular. One, you have to have a player input class, and you have to have a player controller class. Inside of your player controller class, you can go ahead and put an input class equals class, whatever your file is, and whatever your input class is. So mine's mymod.tplayerinput for this tutorial. Of course, your tutorial player controller will extend to whatever you want it to. In my case, it extends game player controller. TPlayer input class, what that's going to do is that's going to extend game player input or whatever player input class you want to extend from, and then you're going to put that within your player controller class that you created. So tutorial player controller. Okay, so to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to create a function, and we're going to put this inside the player input class, though it's not really needed, but just to make sure we put our inputs and keep them in the right class, we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to create a simulated exec function, and we're just going to call this tutorial ability, and we'll do open close bracer. And what is the tutorial ability going to do? Well, it's just going to set a bool, which is a true or false variable, to true, and then that'll pretty much be the extent of it. So we're gonna create a bool, and let's just name the bool B tutorial working. Okay, and we can go ahead and do a log, and let's do B tutorial working question mark and B tutorial working. This is going to show up so that we know if it's actually working or not. We'll set the B tutorial working to true. Okay, now we didn't actually create this variable, did we? We just set it. So where are we going to create this variable at? Well, we can create it inside player input, but you know, because of this within, I like to just kind of store it inside the player controller. But so for instance, let's say this was supposed to be creating the invisibility. You might even want to store it inside pawn and access it. But we're going to just go ahead and we're going to store it inside the player controller. So B tutorial working is our variable. So inside of here, let's just hit enter a few times. Make a variable, call it B tutorial working. And we need to set that to a bool. Almost forgot that. And we need our semicolon. Okay. So now that we have all that done, in case if you're wondering, if you set a variable at the top here, it's set to 0 or false or none, depending on what type of variable you created. So right now, B tutorial working is false. So we're inside TPlayer input, and we got our function. We got our B tutorial working to true. Now we need to make sure we have a button to work, right? We just don't want to go inside of our console and type in tutorial ability. So let's go ahead and jump into our config ini. And we want to go into our default input.ini. And if you don't know where that is, it's inside of your version file. So it goes UDK, then it goes your version, then you go to UTGame, then you go to config, and then you go to default input.ini. I just opened up another one. Let me close that out. Okay, once we're inside of here, you want to scroll down until we get to our first little section here saying bindings used to organize all game bindable actions. And in case if you're wondering, the GBA in all of this stands for game bindable action. Anywhere you want to, really, let's go ahead and just throw it in there. So let's hit enter, and we're going to do dot bindings. And what dot bindings means, it's going to add it to whatever actual game input ini we use, which will be the UT one. For the time being. So we'll just do bindings equal. We'll say name equals. We'll call it GBA underscore TUT, I guess. Close quote. And then comma, we'll do command equals, and then whatever we named our function. So what did we name our function again? I can't remember. We named it tutorial ability. So let's go to tutorial ability. Close that, and then there we go. Now we're not done yet. So let's go ahead and we need to link this GBA TUT to something. So let's go down a little bit more till we get down to our primary default bindings section. And in here, let's anywhere you want, once again, just hit enter. And we'll do dot bindings again equals name equals, and whatever letter we want to set this to, and I'm going to set this to R. So we'll do that, and then we'll do command equals, and then we'll do our GBA underscore TUT and our close parenthesis. So as long as you have that set like that, and you have the original one upset, you're good. You can go ahead and save it. If you get a little thing that yells at you because you have this on read only, you'll want to turn that off first before you save it. Okay, so we can close out of there. Now what you also need to do is inside your config file where you found the default input, scroll down to UT input and delete it. You don't want it anymore because we want to create a new one. And once that's deleted, you can go ahead and close out of there, open up your Unreal front end. I just opened up another one. And click make. And that should remake your INI for you. We have no errors. And what we can do is let's go ahead quickly and load this up. Let's load this. And this will just take a second to load. Hopefully a fast second. Okay. And it finally loads. Well, let's go ahead and open up. Do I have level 1 in here? No. Okay. Well, we're inside of here. So we're going to do display all tutorial player controller, I believe is what I did. And it was, let's try to remember what our tutorial player controller, and it was B tutorial working. So let me go back in here and do B tutorial working. So you can see it's set to false. So when I hit the R button, you can see it sets to true, and it worked. Now it doesn't turn itself off or anything like that, but it does. It actually work. Now there's a lot more to this, but that's a quick run through of how to create a player input, and that should do it for this tutorial.